Hey everyone, welcome to another session of Converge 2024. In this block of sessions, we're going to be jumping into our customer stories, talking with customers about how they're using RoboHead to really help streamline and even transform their organizations. Our first guest is Tom Barno with WWE, and Tom is the Director of Digital Workflow at WWE, and we're going to be talking a little bit about how to take advantage of getting RoboHead talking with some of the other apps they're using in their tech stack. Tom, thanks for joining us. Anything you want to share about yourself?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me. I've been with WWE for about 18 years. My primary role is to support our large in-house creative services and photo department with all of their technology needs. RoboHead being, one platform that's part of many that help them get their jobs done. So, it's nice to be here.
Awesome. Thanks very much for joining, Tom. And I think, today we're really going to be talking about part of that, the other apps within that tech stack that and how to kind of bolt them to RoboHead. So do you want to kind of kick us off here? I think we're going to start by talking about, how your talent is engaging with your team specifically, right?
Yeah. So our in-ring talent, of course, a huge part of our company, and they have a mobile app that they use to manage all sorts of requests and other things related to them moving around from city to city, attending these our events. And one of them is a branding request, right? So if they need new in-ring gear or something changed with what they're wearing in the ring, there used to be more of a manual process to getting that request over to creative services. So we identified the opportunity to link that branding request feature of their app and getting the content sent right over to RoboHead, which just saves a lot of time. So and then in the example we're looking at, our star wrestler Rocky Goat was able to submit a request into RoboHead directly from his phone.
Okay, so from the app, they're going to hit that branding request icon, and then that's going to bring up a form effectively. So talk with me a little bit about what they're providing you with when they start this off.
Yeah, super basic form, right? We don't want to ask too much of the talent. So it's just a couple of fields that they need to fill out. So they step through that, what event do they need it by, et cetera. Some basic information. They can also upload a file, a reference file, if relevant, directly from their phone. So they just fill out a couple of fields and hit submit, right? And then they're notified that their request has been submitted successfully. And at that point, I know you've got a couple different options of what you can use with RoboHead. We use a middleware called Workato that is receiving this sort of payload from the mobile device and then communicating to RoboHead via the API and mapping that content, that information into the relevant fields on the RoboHead side.
Okay. And so Workato is kind of serving as your middleware for other folks. We also utilize Zapier as a middleware here at RoboHead, and we can certainly work with other tools as well. So it's going to pick up that request and send it to RoboHead with the data, and talk to me about what happens once that request comes in here, Tom.
Yeah, so this is kind of the part two of what we're talking about today, the next integration. You can see here the data that came directly from the mobile app. And once the project management team, you're all familiar with the approver queue, so they're managing and watching the approver queue. And so once they turn this request into a project, it's kind of sharing, placing that project, the needed folders on the server, any files that were provided. So this is really, I think, even cooler example of one of our integrations that has a much broader impact across our entire creative organization.
Okay, so let's move into that second example. So, talent or someone else makes a request for a project. That request gets approved, and we know that, all the things that RoboHead does with that. So a project is created, a schedule is applied, folks are assigned tasks. Those tasks are maybe, dates are put on all of them. So we have kind of that project stuff that's happening, but then there's a lot of assets that you may have or you're going to be creating or modifying, and those have to be managed managed and you're managing those on a server effectively, and we need to get information from RoboHead over to that server, right?
Exactly. So if we take a look at the process, we can kind of demonstrate it. So the first thing that's making all this happen is this RoboScript that we created, right? There's lots of different triggers you can use with RoboScript. So in this instance, it's when a project is created, right? So it's at the time a project manager takes that request and hits save to make it a project. That's when a webhook is called, and that starts the communication with our file server. So I can demonstrate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that RoboScript happens, and then it's going to start talking to the file server. So let's just walk through that right now, Tom. Great point.
Yeah, so you're all familiar with the approver queue. So in this instance, I'm looking at this request that came in there. I'm going to approve it, apply a template to it for the type of project that it is. So by selecting that, picking a schedule, we'll skip past some of the basic data entry, but we save the first portion of it, and then there's a little bit more data we need to put in. So the key part is this project code. So if I pick this game code, there is an associated folder on the server with that code name. So by saving this, the script knows where to put these support folders. So in the upper right corner is a Finder window. You'll see the folder appear within a matter of seconds, and it's going to have the project number, the code that we gave it, and the name. So it all kind of combines that. There's the folder, and then inside of that is these folders that it automatically creates for comps, production, final, and then because I supplied a file in this instance, it also detached the file and put the reference file on the server as well. And then what's really cool is we communicate from the file server back to RoboHead, right? So it writes this URL into the files tab within RoboHead, so that when an art director is assigned to this job, they can go to the files tab, click that URL, and it takes them right to the spot they need to be doing their work on the server.
And so, Tom, kind of the value here, I think, if you would say the core takeaway for WWE, what's both of these integrations, but what's the main value that you're deriving from connecting these three tools together?
Yeah, good question. Far and away, it's just creating efficiency, saving time, right? I mean, we do tens and tens of thousands of projects a year. It's a super busy department. So if you think about the amount of time, it doesn't sound like a lot in one instance, to look at a job, read the brief. Okay, now I need to start working. I got to go to a server, create a folder. Maybe your naming convention isn't the same for each art director. So it just creates all of that stuff automatically, gives them a place, and keeps it all highly organized. So that manual process of working with a file server and creating folders, when that burden is taken off of the team and it just kind of exists when you need it, over time, times 10, 20,000 job projects a year, it saves a tremendous amount of time and lessens any confusion about where work should be done.
Awesome. And I think, so we're saving time, we're free. And I think that's a key for, as we talk with all of our clients around these integrations, it's really freeing up time on these mundane or tasks that are repeated over and over and over again, letting the system carry the water there so that we can automate the creation of those folders. For example, we don't have to do that tedious work. There's also not going to be mistakes, right? So we're letting the system do that. And that's freeing up folks to invest that time into other value add parts of the project or delivering more projects, or better value projects, whatever. So yeah. I think, to me, the key as I'm listening to Tom, as I'm talking with some of our other clients on these integrations is we're using the integrations and the automation to really lessen the burden on the team, lessen the burden on the customers. We're not asking the team to transcribe a request into RoboHead. We're not asking the talent to log into RoboHead. We're meeting them where they need to be and then giving them the information they need. So same thing with the files. We store the files on the server. That's where we work off of, but we also use RoboHead to manage the project. And so using that integration to create the link and send it back to RoboHead, so it's really easy for the art directors or anyone else on the project to go in and engage and access that server quickly. So
yeah, and it's great. I mean, it's, when a group is used to doing it a manual way, and then you kind of put this kind of thing together and then show them, hey, here's how this works now. It's, you kind of become a pretty popular pretty quickly. It's a real time saver. So it's rewarding work to put these integrations in place.
That's awesome. Tom, is there anything else, anything I failed to ask or missed that you'd like folks to kind of take away, as they're pondering how they might do something similar or even different from this, but this is kind of getting them thinking about what they might want to do?
Yeah, I think we covered most of it. I mean, again, as far as doing this integration, right? I mean, the RoboScripts are fairly straightforward. We've got a lot of subject matter experts internally to help with, technology stuff, webhooks and things like that. So RoboScripts is pretty digestible on its own, but we did have some questions, right, on how to configure certain things and make sure we're understanding how to get this integration working. So, I'd say reach out to, we did reach out to you guys for so that final bit of help, and response was great, and being able to get that expertise from your side to make all this work was very appreciated.
Tom, this is an awesome story. Thank you so much for kind of for sharing and helping us understand how WWE is leveraging, these three different parts of their technology stack to really work together and do it in a great way. As Tom mentioned, for those of you that are watching this, if you're thinking about tools that you might feel that we should integrate with RoboHead, or you have questions around how to approach this, as Tom said, our team is super excited and willing to kind of listen and walk with you and help you figure out the best path to go, whether it's simply advising or even actually doing some of that configuration for you. So thank you again for joining this session of Converge 2024. We've got more customer sessions coming up where we'll be talking more about how you can leverage automation within RoboHead, as well as integrations with other applications to get the most and out of your software that you're using, and also free up your team to do the work that really matters to the business. So thanks again for joining us. We'll talk to you shortly.